My name is Samuel Egube. I am the Honorable Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget in Lagos State, and I feel so honored to be working with a team in cabinet led by my governor, Mr. Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, to drive Lagos and to galvanize that partnership with the Lagos people to deliver a greater Lagos for the tomorrow of our children and our youths. So SMEs are primarily businesses, and a lot of the businesses in Lagos are micro and small businesses. They make up a big chunk of what you would call MSMEs. Like you know, they are affected by different type of stimulus and different kind of pressures and in Lagos. So the first thing we have done as a government is to ensure that the external view of Lagos from a risk perspective is super. Today, the Fitch International Rating Agency has upgraded Lagos State to a AAA status. That is phenomenal. And I don't know of any state or nation state, even in Africa, that has been so rated AAA. And this is happening at a time where there has been global stress, right, and challenges around the world, right? Even nations that we like to compare ourselves with, like Ghana, were downgraded at this point. So given that background, you then find out that our MSMEs have a space in Lagos that is viewed internationally as investment grade in terms of its resilience, in terms of its discipline and commitment. This rating has come as a result of a long and continuing commitment to financial discipline and resilience. The second point is that MSMEs have challenges with human resource in terms of skills and in terms of their ability to pay for those skills. And so what Lagos has done, we have different layering of support to the skills of the people in Lagos. Like you are aware, right, we have created now two new universities. One is the University of Education, and the second is the University of Science and Technology. The whole idea is to build a generation of technically sound graduates that supports our effort from the Lagos State University to then create that backbone of human resource supply base, right, that can then support SMEs. We follow that with a lot of short-term to medium-term advisory work around small, micro, small, and medium-term enterprises. And the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is doing quite a lot of that. As they begin to pursue their objective in creating employment for Lagosians, one of the things they must do is intervene directly in the skill base of the micro, small, and medium-term enterprises. The whole idea is to migrate micro businesses from micro businesses to small businesses, and to migrate small businesses from small businesses to medium businesses. Because each of those one-step improvement, right, has a very great impact on employment, on production in Lagos State. That's the second thing we're doing. The third also is to also intervene with capital and incentives in our micro, small, and enterprises ecosystem. So we have set up LASRIC, which is the Lagos State Research Innovation Council. The idea is to be able to support innovation, to be able to support new ideas coming out, and all these are driven by the private sector. So you have a lot of new ideas, a lot of patents coming out from these evaluation done by LASRIC to just make sure that we support our micro and small businesses. What that has done really is that it has put Lagos on the map in Africa as the #1 supporter of startups, right? We are now ahead of Nairobi, we're ahead of Cape Town in that regard. But we also are working also together with the entertainment industry, where we try to support them in promoting them. Like, recently we went, supported the Headies and took them into Atlanta, basically to show the world what the talents from Nigeria look like. And to also announce to the world that all of these talents they hear about, like Wizkid and Burna Boy, there are many more coming from this table that they have come from. We also have committed funds in supporting the creative industry. We are building theaters. We are building and launching, like the Global Hall, positions that they can actually practice their trade and grow it. So that is exactly what we're doing. Grants, single-digit loans, training to the people and the technical skills of those who will support small and medium-term enterprises, and then creating that environment that makes doing business in Lagos a little bit easier, a little bit faster, a little bit more productive. But they require infrastructure as well. You know, they need roads, they need transportation systems, and that is the reason why we are committing to a color-coded rail system. There are 7 color-coded rail systems that we have in plan, out of which 2 of them will come into stream very soon. The blue line that is coming from Okokomaiko all the way to Marina, we should begin testing and running it this year, before December. And the red line coming all the way from Agbado up to Oyingbo Yaba in the first phase, and then in the second phase all the way to Marina is the second line, which we shall trigger off into operation in the first quarter of next year. When these 2 lines are in operation, they are going to move about 32.5 million people every month, reducing their journey time along this axis from 2 hours, 30 minutes to about 30 minutes. That will increase the productivity of our people, reduce the cost of doing business just by enabling our people to be available on time. But what is it to have a people that are sick and cannot take care of their healthcare system? Is the reason why we are building a very robust infrastructure for our healthcare systems. So we are building new hospitals, mother and child care centers, so that healthcare can become accessible. And in addition to all of those centers, we are building over 5 of them or 6 of them general hospitals. We are renovating countless others. And in addition to those ones we are doing, we are also building systems within the health corridor that just makes technology leverage able to work. What this means also is that people are able to access hospital, and through the Ilera Eco health insurance scheme, which is a very low-cost health insurance scheme, which really means that with about 700 naira a month, you are able to get health cover for an entire year. It helps our people. I see no way a people can be impoverished, no bigger way by which a people are impoverished, except when their health is challenged. You know, micro businesses are businesses that are around individuals, really. And that's why we want to migrate them to small businesses. So if an individual is sick, apart from the fact that he ceases from earning income, he also digs into his savings to take care of that sickness, which is what the health insurance does. But we must also improve the communication infrastructure for our small and medium-term businesses. It's the reason why Lagos has deployed in public-private partnership about 3,000 kilometers of broadband fiber duct infrastructure around the metropolis in phase 1. In phase 2, we will take it up to 6,000. What that does is that it basically democratizes infrastructure for our telcos and our service providers to participate and increase capacity. That is very important, and the world is looking at it. The world is observing this. With this capacity, this backbone technology infrastructure that we are deploying, you will then find out that additional investments are coming and are being attracted into Lagos from abroad, right? You are now seeing big hyperscale data centers being brought into Lagos, which has the capacity to then reduce the cost of internet. You now see Google land its Equino subsea cable in Lagos, What does that do? It multiplies by 10 times, between 10 and 20 times, the internet capacity of what we currently have in Lagos. It basically enables more capacity with our small, medium-scale enterprises, because they can now work together and co-create with experts from around the world, have technology transfer, have knowledge transfer, have experience transfer, and are able to share a lot of things. You know, when Lagos partnered with CC Hub by encouraging Main One to take capacity there, you saw how many icons, businesses valued at over $1 billion that have created. So you can imagine what this backbone will do. It will help our young people. It will help the enterprise of our people. It will position them as leaders, right, in their businesses in the African continent, right? It will enable the entertainment sector, enable the communication sector, and create new business possibilities for our micro, small, and medium enterprises. Thank you very much.
I think he has answered number 2, so I'll just go straight to number 3, which is any future initiatives you'd like to share in view of the 30-year development plan?
When it's time for me to roll, you tell me. Okay, yes, you know, when you talk about the demography of our people, you know that almost 60% of our population are very, very young people. Right? And therefore, we felt that it was important for us to plan long for them. So we have a 30-year development plan that we are launching. And in that development plan, the idea is to have a thriving economy, to be able to have modern infrastructure, to have a city that is human-centric, and to have a governance system and mechanism that is extremely strong. I will tell you a few of those things that this future holds for us. And it's not just a plan that is standing alone. It's a plan that is having a handshake with a 15-year plan that is coming to an end. So when you see Lagos and what we're trying to do to support various systems, one of our dreams is to ensure that Lagos's development does not anchor a density that is focused on central Lagos. That density has been stimulated largely by Apapa Port. And so when you see the Lagos of today and see what just Apapa Port has done, then you will understand why people are staying around the central area. But what we have done is we have worked with our partners, right, from around the world, and facilitated additional investment of about $600 million to complete the Lekki Deep Sea Port. We believe it will come into operation this year. That port, upon full completion, would be 3 times the capacity of Apapa Port. Now, that is going to change the game, right? Because today we control about 22% of the West African ports, logistic and shipping business. With that happening, we will control about 50%. And that will set us smack on the African continent as leaders in the shipping and logistic business, probably among leaders like Morocco, the side port in Egypt, and the Durban port. Now, to support that, right, so that people move to the west wing of Lagos and to the east wing, you can then see what we are doing on the Ekpe axis. In the Ekpe axis, you can see all the way from Lekki to Ekpeti Junction. We are rehabilitating and expanding that road to a 6-lane concrete pavement road to carry the heavy-duty trucks that we anticipate will be stimulated by that port. We are supporting it by the regional road that will run parallel to the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, and the 4th mainland bridge that will connect the Lekki area to the Ikorodu area, forming a ring around Lagos. So that is very significant. But that's not all that is happening. I can announce to you today that we have received approval, right, to set up an international airport, right, in the Ekpe area, and a cargo airport. So that again begins to support business in the east side of Lagos and begin to grow it materially. All of that infrastructure we are putting there to basically make the future a very exciting one. I'd like to announce also that we are committed to doing an African-themed media city in the Egube area. We have committed about 120 hectares of land to do that. Recently, we were on the road show in Atlanta, in Washington, just to attract investments in that area. And I can tell you that the interest in Lagos, especially given our rating agency and the leadership quality of Mr. Governor Babajide Olusola Solo and the team in cabinet, you will see that Lagos has become so attractive, and all of that is happening. Smack on that whole axis will be the future Green Line. It's a rail line moving all the way from Marina to the deep sea port. Those are impressive future occurrences whose plan actually have been flagged off, and we are moving to achieving that. On the west side, you know that we have also gotten approval from the Federal Executive Council, working with the private sector and committing land also to it for the Badagry deep sea port, which will be supported by the Badagry Expressway that has been enlarged from a 4-lane highway to a 10-lane highway, because we are mindful of the West African trade route, which we, Lagos State, on behalf of Nigeria, intends to dominate and to conquer. And all of this will basically help enterprise in Lagos. Smack at the middle of that Badagry Expressway is the blue line running all the way from Okokomaiko to Marina. And then you have the red line also on the west side going from Agbado, as I said earlier, to Ehingbeti. Right? And over the entire stretch of the red line, you have 10 bridges that will cross that place, changing completely the skylines. These lines, especially the red line, for example, has very significant elevated train stations. The one in Marina is the size of a football field. So you can begin to imagine the kind of trade, right, that will be stimulated by all of these things that are happening right now and are happening to Lagos. And so it's important that we begin to encourage and talk to ourselves as we prepare for this greater Lagos that has begun to show its flavor, that we focus a lot on the opportunities that are arising out of Lagos, that we invest in those opportunities, that you see the progress that we are making, that you support that progress and participate in building that Lagos of our future and that Lagos of our dream. It's a dream coming true, and I'm always so excited when I'm being asked to speak about the future of Lagos, which, like you know, has started today.